Show me.
I'm the Martial Arts Film Freak, and I watched Kill. Kill is a 2024 Indian film that actually released last year at some sort of film festival. I believe it was Sundance. But released in select theaters this weekend as I record this. And I hope, as you're watching this, you can find a way to watch it, whether it be at your theater or if you're watching this later on at home streaming or on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, whatever. Kill was written and directed by Nikhil Nagesh Bhatt and stars many, many, many people, but I will give you two names, the main protagonist and the main villain, and that is our hero, the character named Amrit Rathod, played by an actor named just Lakshya. So he's gone a full Beyonce, just the one name. And the villain, Fani, who is played by Raghav Juyal. I am sure I butchered those, and I apologize. Many more people in this. I don't need to butcher more names. They're all great. Kill is about a man who is a military commando who is on this train ride for many reasons that you will see when you watch this film that I don't want to get into, as they are sort of these side plots of the film that you should, discover when you watch it. I don't want to spoil those for you. But he's on this train ride when a group of men rise up and start robbing and injuring people, and it is up to him as this military commando guy who has the ability to fight back to get up and fight back. Now I say that, this film, that barely really scratches the surface. There is a lot more to Kill. And I don't just mean the side plots. So typically in these reviews, I like to discuss sort of the more technical aspects that I do like or I dislike before getting into just the action. But honestly, a vast majority of this film is action. So I'll cover just a few things here and we'll get right into it. Kill has an issue, in my opinion, with setting up certain things like character dynamics and character relationships. My main really gripe with that is at one point there is a character, one of the pretty prominent villains, comes into a scene and says, "Where's my dad?" And somebody has to inform him, "Your dad's dead." And at no point does the movie tell you like, "Hey, this is this person's dad and now they're dead." No, you're just kind of sitting there like, I don't know who that guy's dad is. And later on when they find the body, you're like, "Oh, I remember that kill. That was a memorable kill. I had no idea he was that person's father, but you didn't tell me, so good to know now." Cool kill, though. Another thing that's honestly not that important, but it really bugged me for a while, is there's not a lot of places for this movie to go. A vast majority of it takes place on the train, and there's only two ways you can move, left and right. Forwards, backwards, we're only going one of two places here. And yet it feels like it loses some characters every now and again, specifically one character that's very important that I won't spoil here for you. There's just certain times where they say, "Oh, I think they went that way." And I'm like, how? How did they go that way? We thought they went that way, but they went that way. There's a bunch of bad guys that way. How'd they get that way? You were just that way. How did they get by you and you not see them? This isn't a big train. This isn't like Bullet Train where it seems like a lot of the cars have like a lot of, room to move around. This is a very, very compact, small train. It's not important, but there was at least a solid 20 minutes that I was like, but how? But how? Again, not important, but just kind of bothered me. How? Feels like you didn't really understand the geography of your scene, and your geography was left or right. But let's get into the action because that is why we are here talking about a film called Kill. So this movie, I was extremely excited. I haven't been this excited for a movie in quite a while. This was probably my number one most anticipated film of the year. I first started seeing trailers for this not at home, not on YouTube, not on TV. I started seeing trailers for this in my theater. In my home theater on the big screen, I see a trailer for Kill and I'm like, holy hell, that looks incredible. And then I walk out into the lobby and I see the poster. So I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm seeing the trailers for it. I'm seeing the poster for it in the lobby. I get to see a movie like this in my home theater. That does not happen very often. And how angry was I when my theater was not showing Kill? Now, this is not going against the movie. This is just a gripe I have with my own movie theater. I had to drive almost an hour away, a little over an hour away, the next town over, just to watch this movie. Now, was Kill, for the action purposes, worth driving over an hour away? Was it worth the price of admission? And the admission was gas money. So was it worth it? Well, not at first, but it had to earn it. Here's the thing with that. Any movie should really have to earn it, I guess. I don't want to compare this movie like many people have to The Raid or to John Wick, as I have seen people do. I don't think that they share too many similarities past, violent action. And I'll go further into detail as to why I don't feel that they are similar in many, many ways. I'll go into that much later. But here's the thing with Kill. It is a film of two parts. One of those parts, the second part, is much longer than the first. But in that first part, all the leading incidents, everything that leads up to the action and then the action initially happening, the action at first in this film was kind of letting me down. You see, before he really decides to start killing, as the film is called, Kill, he's sort of on this path of, hey, don't kill anybody. Let's just maintain the situation and control everybody and beat them up and beat them down and stuff. And incapacitate. And that's fine and dandy. I don't mind that at all. But in doing so, he's holding back. So he's a very good fighter, of course, but he's holding back so his action isn't great. He's honestly getting beat up quite a bit, which is fine. I'll get into a detail of that later. But in him holding back, so is the film. Those early action sequences, those early events, they're really not doing it for me. They're fine. They're kind of cool. They're like a good wrestling match. You guys know that I love comparing my martial arts films, to the world of professional wrestling. I'm a big wrestling nerd. You see, in the landscape of wrestling today, there's a lot of really good wrestling out there. So just having a good match or being a good wrestler is not enough. You need to turn it up in some way. Make it more violent. Make it more technical. Do some crazy high-flying movements or something. Or even maybe just have the story take over and be really compelling. So somewhere in this early action, that's good. But in this climate we're in now, even in the world of 2024, where there have been a lot of good action martial arts films, 60 Minutes, Baby Assassins, One Percenter, Life After Fighting, City Hunter. There's been a lot of good stuff just this year. A film just having some pretty good fight scenes is not going to cut it. That sounds crude and harsh, but I promise you, you'll get it in a moment here. The film being made up of two parts, the action being made up of two parts, and this first part not really being satisfying, not holding up to what it could be, not holding up to the potential of the trailer even. There is an incident that I will not spoil for you here. I'm going to burp. The incident is someone going a little too far. One of the bad guys. And in him going too far, our main character, Amrit, I believe his name was, he snaps. And something I've seen several Indian films do. The film waits 25-30 minutes to pop up the title screen. Kill. And this was so impactful because the title screen saying kill was more than just a title screen. It was a statement. It was a course of action. It was a declaration. And this is where Kill stops being an action martial arts film and becomes a slasher horror film. Yes, there's still martial arts, there's still action. But the idea of our main character now becoming a slasher villain, still the hero of the film, but he is now a slasher from a horror movie, taking people out with brutal, amazing fight scenes. And it is so worth it from this point. Worth the price of admission, worth the gas money, worth the drive. The film becomes so much of a slasher horror film that it's almost like our villains, our criminals, now become the main characters of the film, because honestly, we start spending more time with them reacting to all of them getting picked off one by one than we start spending with, our hero or the people he's trying to save, because there are some pretty prominent characters on that side as well. But we spend so much time with our criminals. You have them debating, people freaking out, watching their friends, their family getting picked off, saying, I just want to get off right now. I want to get off as soon as we can. And others saying we can't. And that is cool. That is an interesting dynamic that at this point, we are spending more time with the villains. But at the same time, it doesn't quite work because those villains, those criminals, really are not that interesting to begin with. So a lot of the times, anytime they're having discussions, they're not really saying anything that is that interesting. You just kind of want to get back to the guy killing everybody. And as much as I do really enjoy those moments of him just having snapped and killing everyone, there's kind of not enough of it, because I've seen several people say that this movie is non-stop action. I will wholeheartedly disagree. I found the action stopping quite a bit, whether it's him going to check on the survivors or him or us cutting to the villains, to the criminals talking. I found the action was actually stopping a little too much, especially when it didn't really feel like some of the story was progressing. Like a lot, you go to those dialogue scenes because you want to progress the story forward. If you want to compare this to something like The Raid, which I don't like to do, every time the action stops, the dialogue, the scenario our characters are in, is moving the story along so we can get to the next action sequence. I didn't quite feel like that was happening in between the action beats that kept stopping. And within those action scenes that I, again, could use more of, there's not a lot of the most technical stuff, which is fine. It's probably not really going for that. It is more about the violence on screen. And that leads to one reason I really would not compare this to John Wick. When you look at something like John Wick, The Raid, Ip Man, Ong Bak, those movies fall into something I would say is what they call competency porn. You are getting enjoyment out of watching somebody be the very best person at what they do. No one's beating Tony Jaa and Ong Bak. No one's beating Donnie Yen and Ip Man. No one's beating Iko Uwais Rama in The Raid, other than, of course, Mad Dog. But even then, you're honestly kind of getting some competency porn from how good Mad Dog is. And in John Wick, no one's beating John Wick. You're getting that fulfillment, that enjoyment of watching him be the best. I don't think that is something that you get here, but I don't think that's what the movie is going for. So that is why I don't compare this to John Wick or The Raid. There are several moments in the action, in the violence, that our character gets overwhelmed. Again, there's only two ways you can go, and it's very compact. There's not a lot of room to move. People are coming from every direction, sometimes many, many people. He gets overwhelmed quite a bit. He is a great fighter. He is not the best fighter. He is just really, really angry. So if you're coming into this looking for watching someone just tear through people as the very best in the world at what he does, he's not John Wick. He's not Rama from The Raid. He's not Tony Jaa and Ong Bak. Ting, I believe his character's name was. He's not Ip Man. He's not moving through people like butter. He gets stopped. He gets injured. Not that much, because he's Freddy freaking Voorhees. He's Freddy Voorhees. Jason Voorhees. Freddy Krueger. He's not Jason Voorhees. He is Jason Voorhees. He can take some damage, but he's going to get stopped every now and again. So if you're in this for that sort of level of competency porn, that I think I was kind of going in mentally looking for that, you're not going to get that. So I don't want to dock that against the movie, but if you're going in with that intention, that's not what this is, at least in my mind. Again, that's why I don't compare it to John Wick or The Raid. But because the movie is also not going for that level of technicality in the action sequences and that level of competency in our hero, the film does lack a big climactic action sequence to cap off the film. You get that satisfaction in other areas. You get that satisfaction in character comeuppance. You get that satisfaction in character survival. But you do not get the satisfaction of, in The Raid, you get the Mad Dog fight. In John Wick Chapter let's say 3, you get the fight with Yayan Rui and Chechep Rahman and Mark Dacascos. You know, you don't get those big finale moments. I didn't get that, at least. I did not feel that satisfaction on that level from this finale. I felt it in other things, again, comeuppance, felt it. But I did not feel it within the action itself. So in the end, I think I would give Kill a solid 4.25, 4.25 smashed-in craniums out of 5. It gets brutal. This movie gets crazy. He becomes a straight-up horror movie villain to the bad guys. And you know what? I thought that was really awesome. There's plenty of action movies where someone just like becomes a threat and someone's like, oh no, look out for that guy. He's the bad guy. He's gonna fuck us up. But not many movies really go the route of he is now the monster that the bad guys are afraid of. I did not love it like I thought I would. I did not love it like I wanted to. However, I enjoyed what I saw. I was thoroughly surprised by what I saw. I went in with a certain expectation, and I am not upset that expectation was not met. However, I am thrilled that expectation was subverted. I just would have liked a few things a little bit more. Less stop-start with the action. I really truly do not believe that this is a non-stop action film. I think the action stopped several times, and I wish it didn't. But tell me what you thought of Kill in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, where there is the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on the Twitter, and Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok, where I am very active, and I plan to be a lot more active over here. I've got a lot of ideas floating around in my head, and I will make them happen. So do all those things I told you to do. Make those comments, leave those likes, hit that bell icon, and follow on all the socials. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.